So I'd just like to welcome everyone to the BSV for this evening session. Maybe we'll just start with a meditation, and I'll give some instruction about chanting together with that, so we are more in a good state of mind to do our chanting and meditation. So if you just like to close your eyes, put your hands wherever feels comfortable, on your knees, in your lap, and just begin coming into the present moment, letting go of the past, letting go of expectation, letting go of any kind of residual stimulation we've had during the day with our activities, with our work, and just relaxing, becoming mindful, becoming concentrated with just our awareness and nothing else. So if our mind is wandering in the past, wandering into the future, we can use also the object of our breathing going in, our breathing going out. So we can put our awareness on the process of breathing, one in-breath, one out-breath, and we are just passively observing the feeling of breathing. So if we start to think about a past experience with some degree of maybe remorse, or maybe we are thinking about something that's going to come in the future with some expectation, the first and second hindrances have started to come into our mind. So we just have to come back to the present moment, come back to our breathing, come back to our awareness of our bodily sensations, come back to awareness of our mind, our thoughts, and knowing the categories of thinking that we experience. So sometimes our mind is wholesome, sometimes our mind is unwholesome. So we have to know, now my mind is unwholesome, and bring it back to a state of neutrality, or if it's being stubborn, if it's being persistent with whatever object we are proliferating about, then we have to be more active in changing the course of our thinking. So we can think of it as being like there's a green light and a red light. So the red light is things connected with the three poisons, greed, hatred, and delusion. And the green light is things connected with wisdom, restraint, virtue, non-hatred, non-ill will. So we do not wish harm on anyone. We do not have any feeling of animosity. We don't harbor any enmity towards anyone, be it the past, in the present, or in the future. So it's good to remember that also there's a hindrance to do with sleepiness and a lack of heedfulness about maybe we are nodding or maybe we are a bit falling asleep. So if we notice that we are slouching or that we are maybe dozing off, please maybe just re-establish your mindfulness and even open your eyes, briefly to make sure that we are back in the present moment with a clear state of awareness. So sometimes when we are trying to pacify our mental formations, we come up against some obstacles that are traditionally talked about as being 5 in number. So we overcome these obstacles with skillful means to do with where we put our attention, what we think about, what we talk about, what kind of cetasika, this Pali word means mental friend, mental object. So we are throughout the day constantly coming in contact with external things. Also we have an internal struggle sometimes going on. So when we do things like sitting meditation, listening to Dhamma discourses, we are putting the percentage of what we do as a wholesome activity in the plus. So the minus is the unwholesome. So we are tipping the scales in favor of our project, our desire, our seeking of the experience of samadhi. So one activity that is common throughout Buddhist monasteries is chanting. So every monastery, almost every monastery, they have morning and evening chanting as a way to bring our mind, bring our intention to a place where we are maybe previously afflicted by some hindrance, to becoming free from that hindrance. So one area that is sometimes difficult to practice with is right speech. So even though we chant in a language that we don't understand, we are still creating the familiarity, creating the step that we can use to further develop our 5 powers. So the 5 powers are faith, effort, saddha, virya, sati, samadhi, and panya, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So when we do chanting, if we just want to sit quietly, that's also fine. If we want to read the meaning, the English meaning as we go along, that's also good and fine. If we want to participate and recite the chant, is also a skillful way, and it's a type of right effort because we are developing right speech. We are developing right mindfulness. We are practicing right concentration. So we are not thinking about anything unwholesome while we do chanting. So sometimes the strength of our hindrances can stop us without us realizing that we are believing perhaps in the fact that, I don't know what this is, or maybe we're a bit unfamiliar with chanting, so we don't take the step towards mindfulness and concentration. So the chanting we'll be doing this evening is a kind of relaxing, slow type of chant. It's from Sri Lanka. So if we know the chanting, like I mentioned on Sunday, it's better to not use your external sense faculties. So just keep your eyes closed and verbalize as the chant goes along. We can just follow the intonation, we can follow the chant without having to open our eyes. That's the ideal way to do it. But if we need to open our eyes, that's also fine. We can do that also. So we'll just meditate together for a little bit more and then we'll start the chanting.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Itipiso bhagavā arahaṃ sammā sambuddho viññācarana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasārati sattā deva manusānaṃ buddho bhagavāti sākkāto bhagavatā dhammo sanditthiko akāliko ehipasiko opanayiko paccattam veditamo viññohiti supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho ujupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho ñāyapatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho yadidaṃ catāri purisa yugāni aṭha purisa pungalā esa bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho āhuneyo pāhuneyo dakkineyo anjali karaneyo anuttaraṃ puññakketaṃ lokasāti vandāmi cetiyaṃ sambhaṃ sambatāni supatititaṃ shāririka dhātu mahābodhiṃ buddha rūpaṃ sakalaṃ sadā yasa mule nisinnova සබාරි විජයං ආකා පත්තෝ සම්බං නතං සතා වන්දේ තං බෝධිපාදපං ඉමේ ඒතේ මහා බෝධි ලෝකනාතේන පූජිතා අහං පිතේ නමස්සාමි බෝධි රාජා නමස්තුතේ පඨමං බෝධි පල්ලංකං ဒုတိယံ ච අනිමිසං තතියං චංකමනං චිත්තං චතුත්තං රත්නාගරං පංචමං අජපාලං ච මුචලින්දේන චට්ඨමං සතමං රාජායතනං වන්දේ තං මුනිසේවිතං මායාසුතෝ සුගතසා කියසීහනාතෝ ජාතක්කනේ සපාදසා මහිචංකමිත්වා යස්මින් මුදිරයි ගිරං වරලුම්බිනිම්හි තං ජාත චේතිය මහං සිරසා නමාමි යස්මින් නිසජ වජිරාසන බන්ධනේන ජත්වා සවාසන කිලේස බලං මුනින්දෝ සම්බෝධි ඥාන මවගම්ම විහාසි සම්මා සම්බෝධි චේතිය මහං සිරසා නමාමි සංකප්පයං දස සහස් සියලෝක ධාතු දේසේසියත්‍ර භගවා වර ධම්ම චක්කං භාරාණසී පුර සමීප වනේමිගානං තං ධම්ම චේතිය මහං සිරසා නමාමි කත්තාන ලෝක හිතයත් හිතං චනාතෝ ආසීතිකෝ උපවත්තන කානනම්හි යස්මින් නිසජ භගවා නිරුපාදිසේසං නිබ්බාන චේතිය මහං සිරසා නමාමි මයංගනං නාගදීපං කල්යාණං පදලාංචනං දිවාගුහං දීගවාපි චේතියං ච මුතිංගනං තිස්ස මහා විහාරංච බෝධින් මරිස වට්ටියං සන්නමාලේ මහා චෛත්‍යං තූපාරාම බයාගිරින් ජේතවනං සේල චෛත්‍යං තථාකාචර ගාමකං ඒතේ සෝලසඨානානි අහං වන්දාමි සබ්බසෝ අහං වන්දාමි දුරතෝ අහං වන්දාමි ධාතුයෝ කායේන වාචා චිත්තේන පමාදේන මයා කතං අචයං කමමේ බන්තේ බුරි පඤ්ඤ තථාගත කායේන වාචා චිත්තේන පමාදේන මයා කතං අචයං කමමේ ධම්ම සන්දිට්ඨික අකාලේක කායේන වාචා චිත්තේන පමාදේන මයා කතං අචයං කමමේ සංඝ සුපටිපන්න අනුත්තර ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බාන පත්තියා ඉදම්මේ ඥානේනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතේනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතේනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිතා චිරන් රක්칸තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිතා චිරන් රක්칸තු දේශනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රක්칸තු මම් පරන්ති.
So, meditation for us primarily is always just two things, calm and insight. So when we develop calm, it means we have insight. If we have insight, we also have tranquility. So sometimes when we study meditation, it's the case that people talk about meditation like you are just doing vipassana. So you do a vipassana course, you're doing vipassana meditation, so that it's a bit, people try and separate the two rather than thinking of them as being a pair. So, like when we close our eyes and we try and abandon hindrances, we are trying to see our mind clearly, so we're practicing vipassana, and we are also feeling, hopefully having this feeling in our mind of tranquility. So wherever there's one, there's the other. So it's just a good thing to remember. Sometimes, like, we think that meditation doesn't involve like chanting, we just do meditation. So these different activities sometimes that we do, they are also a type of vipassana. Because hopefully we can see that when we do chanting, it also gives us a type of energy. We can go to different places and we know how to do chanting. For us, it's a kind of a skill. So we think about meditation as being a skill. It involves body, actions of body, speech, and mind. So even though we are just doing a mind kind of activity, it also involves verbalizing sometimes when we practice right speech. Then if we practice speaking in a way that's skillful, then unwholesome mind states won't come up for us. So when we are meditating, it'll be much easier. So when we also do physical action, sometimes we are maybe lacking the perception that the Buddha talked about. There's two types of physical action. There's physical action we have to abandon, and there's physical action we have to cultivate. So maybe we just kind of go from day to day without thinking too much about, is this skillful, is this unskillful, in what way is this beneficial, in what way is this not beneficial. So we can talk about diet, we can talk about all the different things maybe that sometimes we are not so percipient of. Socializing, topics of discussion, not keeping the 8 precepts, for example, on a regular basis. So sometimes maybe we do a Vipassana course, or we come here once or twice a week, but we don't go the next level and keep, say, the 8 precepts, or go and stay in a monastery for a bit longer. So sometimes to counter these hindrances in our mind, we can also do things like walking meditation. So I think most of us here tonight are not being afflicted by drowsiness, which is nice to see. But just so that sometimes maybe on another occasion, if we are feeling maybe a bit restless, maybe we're a bit sleepy, you can just walk from point A to point B in your backyard. Like today I was doing walking meditation in the backyard here because I was feeling a bit sleepy, as a way to keep our mind in a good space. So meditation has these qualities of tranquility and vipassana, and it is something that hopefully we can cultivate in each posture that we have. So when we're sitting driving, are we doing vipassana? So hopefully we don't use certain devices that maybe distract us when we drive, because that can also be a thing that can come up. Or maybe we are getting distracted by the radio, or maybe we are talking. So when we are driving, if we are practicing vipassana, I would say that as much as we can, we are not allowing ourselves to be distracted. So I wonder, what is the percentage of road accidents that are caused by distraction? Like there was one incident recently in the monastery I was staying, that a layperson was run down in his car by another car through the intersection, and it seemed like the driver was having an argument with someone in his car, so he was speeding. So maybe at that point, if we are not looking left and right and we don't see the car coming, maybe we are thinking about something and we are not in the present moment, on like with our attention on the road and with the cars on the road. So in that brief moment, it can be the end of our life, unfortunately. So small things, if we let them slide, they can become big things. So mindlessness, this phenomenon of mindlessness, we create mindfulness and we abandon mindlessness by using the 5 precepts, for example. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with the 5 precepts. We also have the 8 precepts. As people who are interested in meditation, I think maybe this would be things we've experienced before, having done Vipassana courses maybe. Or maybe hopefully we are at a stage where we see the benefit for us, so we can do it through our own volition. So any day you feel like you are not busy, then that day you can keep the 8 precepts. So there's no particular prohibition against not doing it at this time or that time. So actually the more you do it, the better for yourself. So rather than just keeping the 5 precepts on a regular basis, we can abstain from food in the evening, for example. A few times a week, a few times a month, however often is most suitable to us. We can abstain from things that normally would pull our attention back into the realm of sensuality and a lack of being able to, we can just close our eyes and immediately experience samadhi. So if anyone has any questions, maybe we can open up the session either online or in-house. Please feel free to ask whatever questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Ajahn. Unfortunately, I don't know where the hand microphone is to pass around. So if you do have a question in the hall, please just raise your hand and just ask. And what we might do is just try to repeat the question so the online audience can hear it. If there's no question in the room at the moment, we do have at least one question online. Actually, I just thought maybe because there may be a couple of people in the room who aren't familiar with some of the terms you used, Ajahn, to talk what you mean by a vipassana and samadhi, perhaps. Okay.
Yes, samadhi means concentration. So we all concentrate our minds to some degree every day when we are doing things. So when we're studying, we're working, we're always to some degree concentrated, but it has a bit more of a specific meaning in the sense that we are not in the, like, you know, if you are someone who is maybe a soldier and you're about to kill someone, you're also concentrated. So we have this other element of our concentration is directed in a way that there's no harm being done to anyone. We are practicing right mindfulness. So the object of our awareness is not unwholesome, is not creating unwholesome thoughts in our mind. So if we look at someone and maybe we're feeling attracted to them, there can be greed. If we look at someone and we don't like them, maybe there can be aversion. So that would be wrong concentration. So that's samadhi. And vipassana just means to see things clearly, to see something, to see in a way that is not distorted. So we talk about the Four Noble Truths: life is suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, the path to the end of suffering. So seeing the Four Noble Truths in the world, in ourselves, in our daily life, will help create non-suffering. So that would be like vipassana. So maybe there are some areas where this is not quite there for us, so we can just sometimes think with clarity about some aspect of our life where we could apply the quality of vipassana, so that whatever it is that is hindering us we can overcome.
Thank you, Ajahn. I'll just read the question out that we have online, and again, you might need to define a term in here for people who aren't familiar. The question is, how to get into jhana? What should one do if one has been meditating a lot but no jhana?
Okay, so this question about attainment. So we are trying to get an attainment that people are familiar with. This word jhana is often talked about as being a stage of meditation where you experience these really nice things like rapture and bliss, and you see these bright lights. And so it sounds quite nice to have that. But if you don't have it, then you are not happy. So we're trying to get beyond being unhappy and happy, pleased and displeased by things that are pleasing and not pleasing. So you don't get something, you are displeased. You get something, you are pleased. So rather than thinking about attainments and levels and labels and this kind of thing, just think about, is your mind released from the 5 hindrances? So whatever meditation you do, when you finish, do you get this sense of the 5 hindrances are not there? So that means there's no like, there's no dislike, there's no agitation, there's no worry, there's no doubt, there's no sleepiness, and so on. So if that state of mind is there, it means that you're right, you practice right effort and right mindfulness. And then the piti and pamoja part will come later. So piti is rapture, pamoja is gladness. So these kind of nice feelings, they will come to your meditation naturally, and you don't have to worry about what it is. So if you don't get it yet, if you haven't had the experience, then just hold on, it will come later.
Thank you, Ajahn. Are there any questions here in the hall?
Hi, yes, please go ahead.
I'm not quite sure about how to formulate the question, but you have 3 elements, right? You have the mind, you have the body, and you have speech, your language.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And within that calmness, we're able to access that realm of language in which you can reflect and see if things are beneficial or not to yourself.
Uh-huh.
I guess my question goes in the lines of why it is so difficult to access any reflection when you're finding yourself in heightened emotional states. Why in rage or deep sadness or confusion or uncertainty it's so
Mm-hmm.
difficult to access a quality level of reflection.
Okay. Did you want to repeat that for the...
I'll try my best. So the question is really about the last part in particular. Why is it so difficult to access a reflective state when we're caught up in a very strong emotional state, such as anger? Is that have I summed that correctly?
So the Buddha mentioned there's 3 types of defilements. There's some defilements that are like you write a letter in the water and it dissolves straight away. Sometimes it's like you write something in the sand in the afternoon, the tide comes and it washes away. Sometimes it's like you are dealing with something written in stone. So because we create perceptions, we create moods, we create thoughts, and we kind of sometimes afflicted very severely by these things, even though we know that we should try and think clearly and let go and be someone who can think clearly about a problem they're having, but our mind is kind of constantly regurgitating maybe some issue to do with being upset with someone or something, or being infatuated, intoxicated by something. So if that's coming up regularly, then when it comes up, I would suggest you have to use something that's more like coarse to stop the mind from becoming so unwholesome. So you can use things like doing walking meditation. You can repeat verbally a word like Buddha, 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 or you can do some chanting or just distract yourself. So the mind is like kind of a bit out of control. So you have to try and do something to divert your attention from this unwholesome state. So there's a sutta called the Vitakka Santana Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. It talks about 5 ways to deal with distracting thought. So there are things like you just ignore your mind. So if you can do that, your mind's just going on and on, you just ignore it. So some people wouldn't do that. Or you can think of something, positive that you did the other day, or think of some pleasant memory that you had, or something that can change the negativity to being positive. So there's that. And so I think the thing that not to do is to just kind of like be with yourself and not do anything. I think you should probably try and actually get the mind to change from that to something more wholesome. So, and then after that comes, and then you get a hold of your mind, then you can kind of think back and try and get to the cause of why does it keep coming? What is the cause for primarily we are dealing with the subha nimitta. So when we have states of greed, it's caused by paying attention to something that is pleasing. And we are dealing with negativity, it's something, a sign that is displeasing. So it can be a memory, it can be a situation, it can be a person. So either the like and dislike will come through these two things. So if you avoid them, then for you will have like more experience of tranquility and a passive mind state and clear reflection. And I think that's the answer. Pretty good.
Thank you, Ajahn. There's another online question. Ajahn, what is the benefit of staying at a monastery for lay people?
The benefit is manifold. So this thing the Buddha talked about in many places, becoming skilled in like the Metta Sutta talks about being skilled in goodness. So we're developing skills when we meditate, and it's not that easy to get a handle on it if we are just doing it briefly. So we come to a center for a little while, and then we go back to lay life, and the skill set has not gelled yet. So when you go and live in a monastery, you associate with wise people on a daily basis, and so the skills become better. So meditation becomes better, your mind states become better, and your experience of quality of happiness becomes better. But you are a bit in the situation where maybe you're unfamiliar with monasteries and monastics, so it's all a bit weird and a bit challenging and a bit not easy. So can you break through that to get to the other side? That is up to you. can you do it? Can you see the benefit of doing it? Do you really want to do it? So all these questions, I think for us, we have to answer ourselves, and the time will come where you're just so sick of suffering that you just do it because you know it will work, or you've seen for yourself a little bit how it works and you want to take the next step. So I hope to see you in the monastery.
Thank you, Ajahn. Are there any more questions in the hall? Seems not, and there are no more questions online, so...
I think... No, you don't have a question?
We do have one? Oh, good. No? Just a stretch. All right, I think we're finished with the questions, Ajahn.
Okay. So, there's no announcements?
No, although I think all the announcements were at the start, just a reminder that there's lots of other opportunities to meditate this week with the guided meditation here tomorrow night. Also, Monday to Thursday on 7 p.m, there's about a half-hour guided meditation through our Discord channel, which you can find out more about on the BSV website. And also there's the guided meditation day here at the BSV, sorry, not for anyone online, but if you're in Melbourne, you can come this Saturday from 8:30 a.m. and stay for as long as you like, up to 4:30 p.m. if you want to have a longer sit and experience a calm, quiet day. That's all. Thank you, Ajahn.
Okay, see you everyone. Nice to meet you. See you. Bye.